Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special Comic Art Live Spotlight. Tonight, I'm going to be talking with Vincent Zurzolo from ComicConnect, and we're going to do a last preview of his current event auction, number 45, and check out some of the highlighted lots from this auction, and which I believe ends in 4 days. So there's not a lot of time left. So this is the last opportunity to actually see the art in person. And so let me bring Vincent into the screen here with me. Good evening, Vincent.
Hey, Bill, thanks so much for having me on.
No, my pleasure, man. I'm glad we could do this. I'd like to do more of these. This is the kind of stuff that I want to use the channel for, not just me doing interviews and everything. I want to be able to help people sell and market, and that's what it's all about.
Well, I really appreciate it. Before we get started talking about all this great artwork, I do want to share something really exciting. I thought your viewers would really enjoy getting a look at the new world record holding Action Comics #1 CGC graded 8.5 that I just sold for $3,250,000.
I was going to ask you about that. So you still have it in your hands. I didn't believe that was going to be the case. Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a real thrill for me. This book I sold back in 2010 for $1.5 million. I was record holder then, and then I sold it again for $1.75. And then about 3 years ago, we sold it at auction for $2,053,000, and now a new world record for Action Comics for any comic book, $3,250,000. We're really thrilled about this. It's an exciting day for us, but it's an exciting day for everybody in comics, whether you're a collector, a fan, you love Superman, anything. This is a big, momentous occasion.
Absolutely. I mean, you got a lot of press, a lot of positive press, of course, but I mean, it is a momentous occasion to have something reach that price. But as we were talking earlier, before the show started, I mean, the market is just so crazy right now. Prices are changing weekly on things. So this is, it's got to be a fun time and a very stressful time for you as well when things are happening so rapidly with seeing these pricing changes.
It is incredible. Sometimes you're selling something, you think you're getting a top notch number, and then a week later it looks like you wholesaled it. But at the same time, you know what? You got to be happy when you're selling comic books and original comic art, and of course for us, video games, pulps, concert posters, movie props, you name it, we're selling it. We've got a big auction coming up, and I really love to focus with you on some of the great artwork that we have. And if you don't mind, I'd love to start with this incredible piece right here by none other than Jack King Kirby, Black Panther #8. And what I love about this piece is it's such a big image of Black Panther. And it's very easy to recognize that this is Kirby. I just love this piece. I think this is going to do incredibly well. I think a lot of last-minute bids are going to be coming in for all the pieces in the auction, but especially this piece. This piece has a way to go in the auction. It's just a knockout.
No, I agree. This is one of my favorite Black Panther covers too. So,
Really? That's
cool.
Yeah. Maybe you should get on it.
I'm not quite in that market at the moment, but I'm trying to get there. I really am.
The next piece I wanted to talk about is one of our other showcase pieces in this auction. When I was a kid, the first X-Men comic books I ever read were Giant Size X-Men #1 and 95 through 100. My big brothers, could never get their hands on a copy of number 94. And I remember the first time I read a 94, it was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. What a momentous occasion. And here we have a page from issue 94. And it's a great page. It's the page where Angel is telling Professor X that he and Marvel Girl are going to be leaving the X-Men. And basically then Wolverine shoots his mouth off and gets into a fight with them. And it's just such a memorable, great piece. You got Iceman, Angel, Professor X, Marvel Girl, Cyclops, and Havoc. You really can't ask for anything more than that. And by what we're seeing in terms of Bronze Age artwork going for these days, I think this might be one of the sleeper hits in the auction. This could really surprise us all where this lands. And I'm not sure, can you see in the camera the Amazing Spider-Man cover?
I've kind of got you a little bit small on the screen here, but sure, I'll pull it up.
Let me pull it in here. This is fine. So this is another cover that I really love. And first of all, it's by Ross Andru, one of the, I think, overlooked and underappreciated comic book artists. But I would have to say that in recent years, the prices on his artwork have gone up quite a bit. This is a chance to own an amazing Spider-Man cover, Bronze Age cover, 1978, Amazing Spider-Man 183. And it's just gorgeous. It's dripping with detail. You have this giant machine here with all the great inking done on it. And of course, Spidey getting beaten down, and who knows what's going to happen. This piece, I think, has a lot of potential in this auction. And I think a year from now, people will be looking back on this and going, why didn't I buy that piece? I should have bid more. I should have bid another $5 grand or $2 grand or $1 grand. I should have gone higher, because it's so hard to get an Amazing Spider-Man cover, and it's so hard to get one at market. People know how great these are, and they continually go up in value.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I think this one's going to be one of the high-selling lots in your auction.
Yeah, for sure. Another piece that I got in that I was just so thrilled to get. Here's the cover to G.I. Joe 119, Herb Trimpe. It's just fantastic. There are so many G.I. Joe fans out there. You got Snake Eyes on it, and it's just very reminiscent, very reminiscent of the 80s. And I just love it. I love G.I. Joe as a kid. And remember, knowing is half the battle. Go Joe. This is a great piece. I can't wait to see where this one ends up as well. It's going to be a really cool auction to see with the G.I. Joe piece here. Then I also happen to have one of my favorite modern artists, Tony Daniel. I think he is so good. I happen to be a collector of Tony Daniel art. I have about a half dozen covers and splashes, and this is a great piece. You've got the Joker there, a bunch of doll heads. It's a very eerie kind of look to Batman, a very gothic type of approach to this. And I think Tony always brings something a little different in terms of his perspective and in terms of his ability to set up a page. I really love this piece. I think it's one of the cooler pieces in the auction. I hope people enjoy it as much as I have been. Here's a very cool, going back to G.I. Joe, here's another cool piece. This is the first appearance of Duke and Roadblock, and this predates their first cartoon appearance, which is also really cool. So they were first brought to life here in the comic books, and then brought into the cartoons. And it's a very cool action page, beautifully rendered. The inking is fantastic. Lots of good action, shooting their guns off and the plane coming down. First appearance of Duke and Roadblock. I think it's just a fantastic piece. I love it.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that one.
Now, oftentimes people feel like the market's passed them by and they can't really afford a Frank Miller piece. Well, we've had a few really cool drawings, doodles by Frank Miller. And when I say doodle, I mean there's nothing lesser about this. You've got multiple images of Elektra. This is by Frank Miller. It's about 8 by 10. And for somebody who can't afford a Dark Knight Returns page, or even a Wolverine page, or even one of his modern pieces, this is a great piece to own, to say, hey, I own a piece of Frank Miller art. Quite arguably, one of the, if not the greatest living creator in comic books today.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with that one. Frank is one of my favorite artists, and one day I will own something by Frank. I can guarantee you that.
I had the thrill to be able to represent Frank Miller at Big Apple conventions a few years ago, and it still puts a big smile on my face, because as a kid, I never dreamed. I can't tell you how many times I read Wolverine miniseries, and all my friends, we were all nuts about his work on Daredevil and, of course, Dark Knight Returns. But when you get to actually work with and represent someone you admired so much as a kid, it's quite thrilling. And I happened to also had the good fortune of selling about $150,000 worth of his art at the time, which was very exciting as well. So it was a good convention for us all. Getting back to the art in the auction, here's another piece by Tony Daniels. This is an iconic image from DC's New 52. What's interesting about this is these are the original pencils, and the inks were done from a blue line of this. So, but they were inked from these pencils. So this is the original art, and of course, it's Joker's face all messed up, tacked to a wall, and pretty pretty eerie and scary looking. Another very, very cool piece. And next, Frank Brunner. Boy, his artwork has been going nuts lately. And so this is the second ever on my left, your right, second ever Doctor Strange story that Brunner did as a penciler. And this is a recreation, a pinup from Marvel Treasury number 6, which I think recently sold for big numbers. So Frank Brunner, very highly regarded, and appreciated. And his popularity, I believe, is growing every day. And the prices for his art are going higher and higher every day. I remember this image as a kid. I think it's just stupendous. And of course, you have this beautiful action shot with great foreshortening done, and this cool bunch of planets in the background, and it's the Crypts of Ka'u. Great pieces. All ending Monday on ComicConnect.com in our event auction.
Right, and I can attest to the Brunner market being very strong right now. I mean, I've never seen it as strong, and I'm really impressed. I mean, I've always been a fan of his work, but yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of artists of that era. They're really getting their due now, and Frank definitely is getting his right now as well.
Yeah, in fact, I know the guy who won the Doctor Strange #2 cover recently, and he's tickled pink. He knows he paid an aggressive price for it, but to him, it was the best Brunner cover he's ever seen, and he loves it, and he's very happy with it. And I think that's one of the keys about artwork is going after what you love, finding that piece that really makes you happy. And I'm a dealer, I'm an auctioneer, but I'm also a collector and investor in comic art, as you can see from my previous interview here and also around the walls. I never mind paying that extra bit to get the piece I want. And when you get that piece that you want, you never look back and go, oh my gosh, I had to spend an extra $5,000 on it, or $1,000 or $500 or whatever it is in the context of the piece. You will always say to yourself, damn, why didn't I go higher on that piece I have? So here we have another fantastic artist, John Romita Jr. What's really cool about this, other than it being John Romita Jr., you're having Iron Man on it, 2 images, villains, as well as I believe that's Tony Stark, if I'm correct. But inker on this, John Byrne. So you're getting a John Romita Jr. and John Byrne piece of art all in one, and it's just fantastic. And I think you add the logos on, and it really completes it. This is going to be a really great piece that's going to do well in the auction. Here we have one of my favorite characters, Conan. I love Conan the Barbarian. When I was first starting out as a dealer, I remember buying a huge Marvel collection night. It was an entire run of Conan, and I read issues 1 through 100 over the course of a rainy weekend. And it was one of the best reads I've ever had in my life in comics. It gave me a greater appreciation for the character. I loved Conan when I went to see the movie as a kid. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the perfect cast, was perfectly casted as Conan. And it just, reading these comic books makes me so happy. And here's a piece. This is from issue number 16 by Barry Windsor Smith. It's just gorgeous. And I love this kind of checkerboard background, and it's even carried over in the second panel. And you've got Conan done with some zipatone here, obviously something that's not really done anymore. And he's in a couple of the other panels, great images, a really memorable piece. And I think hanging on anybody's wall, people will stop and look at this piece and go, oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
I would agree. I mean, Windsor, you can't go wrong with a Windsor Smith of any period, but this is one of my favorites.
And a lot of his art, it died down a little bit about a year or two ago. There was a slowdown in his art, and then some of the Marvel Comics Presents pages came to market and went crazy, and now it seems like everything Barry Windsor Smith is hot again, which is great because I think he's one of our greatest creators, and thankfully still around. Here's another piece by another one of my favorites, John Buscema. I love John Buscema's work. Here he is on Thor, a beautiful splash page. The Throne and the Fury, Tony DeZuniga is the inker. It's a beautiful image of Thor here. He's getting ready to duke it out. And I don't know what else you can say about it. The perspective is beautiful. Buscema, again, just one of the greatest. And just thrilled to have it available. And here's another Buscema piece, Conan hey, and you know, when you think of Conan, you either think of Barry Windsor Smith or you think of John Buscema, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a gorgeous splash page. Conan is in a lot of trouble. The rats are coming. He's tied down. How is he going to escape this? And it's even signed by John back in 1975. What a beautiful, beautiful splash page. A great addition to anybody's collection. And you can see the bad guys are riding away thinking they're leaving Conan to his doom. A lot of great perspective and depth to this piece. So I like that piece a lot too.
That's a sweet spot in my Conan was just Roy Thomas and John Buscema. So this is a memorable title page.
Yeah. All right. Now, I grew up on John Byrne X-Men, and I remember when John left the X-Men and went on to FF, and we all started collecting FF, and it became our new favorite title. Here we have a page from issue 262. To me, there's such a nostalgia for this time period, and we've sold a lot of John Byrne FF pages and artwork, and I believe this one is another one that is going to really pop in the auction. You have this gorgeous image of Galactus, who's becoming increasingly popular as he was, even more so. You've got Odin, and then you've got pretty much, well, except for Mr. Fantastic, you've got the FF here. You got Human Torch, Invisible Girl, and Thing. It's signed by Byrne. This panel to me sells the whole page. I love that image. I think it's fantastic, pun intended.
Absolutely. It's I always love the way Byrne drew Galactus. I mean, that would be a dream page for me, would be something by Byrne with Galactus on it. It doesn't matter what, but something, you know, his Fantastic Four run from those issues with Galactus were just amazing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of detail and a lot in those issues. He really outdid himself. I'm still a little bit more a fan of the X-Men, but there are so many people that just go nuts for FF. Now, here's a really cool John Byrne piece, which has, you know, a lot going for it in terms of you have John Byrne drawing it, which is great, but you also have this being the Scarlet Witch and Iron Man on the page, but especially Scarlet Witch because of the popularity of the new TV show,
WandaVision, yeah,
which was really trippy and fun, and gives you a new perspective on what they're trying to do with the Marvel Universe. And I think it's really quite brave of them to branch out into these rather typical, they're atypical superhero stories. They're not, hey, Thor is going to go fight the bad guy with his hammer. This was a thinker, and you had to really kind of figure out what was going on. And this page kind of epitomizes what was going on in Avengers West Coast, which has gotten really hot too as a comic book. So I look for good things with this. You got this great villains and monsters in there, and this guy, I don't know what's happening to him, but he's in trouble. We will know. Yeah.
Yes, Wonder Man is definitely not going to have a good day tomorrow.
Wonder Man, right?
Yep.
And here's another page that's going to be, I think people towards the end of this are going to go, oh my God, there's a Man-Thing #1 page in this auction. And here it is. Yeah, Man-Thing #1. Anytime you can get a page from a #1 issue, you jump on it. You've got Man-Thing in it, which is great. And it's by Val Meyerek, and Sal Trapani, and did the inks. It's from 1974. Gosh, you know, when you think about how old these pieces of art are getting, and, you know, soon this will be a 50-year-old piece of art, and from a #1 issue, Marvel issue, you got to think this has got a lot of future potential as an investment. Oh, before I forget, here's a really beautiful double-page splash that's doing incredibly well already. This is from Age of Apocalypse, the first appearance of X-Men, and basically
that's a jump. Yep.
Yeah, and so it's a pretty awesome image. You've got Sabretooth there, you've got Nightcrawler, you've got a bunch of the X-Men, and Quicksilver up here, Iceman, which I think that's a really cool image of Iceman. This is really special and very nostalgic for people who grew up on these issues. This one's going to do very well. It already is doing very well. It's going to keep going. All right.
There's
So what's that?
I was just gonna say there is not enough Joe Mad artwork on the market ever. So this, and this is a classic page for me as well. So it's gonna do really well for you guys.
Yeah, that's a great point. His art does not really come up for sale very often. There's not a lot of it. And I'm looking at a piece right now that I remember as a kid always noticing when this particular artist drew something because it looked a little bit different. And the artist, of course, is Gene Colan, who I think was also overlooked for quite some time, overshadowed by guys like Kirby, but has really come into his own over the last, I'd say, 10 years, maybe a little bit longer. In fact, when Gene was alive, our company actually represented him through Ben Smith, our former vice president of the company. And here's a beautiful page. You've got, it's inked by Frank Giacoia. You've got Cap. You've got the Mandarin, who I think is going to play a big part in the Shang-Chi movie, which is pretty cool. And you got some great action. And once again, what I loved about Gene's artwork, he created a kind of a mood with his way he penciled and way that his pencils were inked. There's also something very dramatic about his pieces, and I think this piece epitomizes that feel, that Gene Colan kind of feel and look and mood that he created.
Now Colan is an acquired taste for me as well, but I mean, this is a beautiful page. I love it.
Yeah, it's lovely. And a cool cover that we have. Now, some people might not like this mask that Doctor Strange is wearing here, but I do. I always thought it was kind of neat, and this is just gorgeous. This giant serpent coming in and Doctor Strange defending himself. This is from the Marvel Midnight Suns. It's 1994, which, wow, that's hard to believe how old that is now. Mark Buckingham, who I think, once again, undervalued right now, and I think in the upcoming years will continue to increase in value. This is a great opportunity to get a Marvel cover. Once again, I think it's a beautiful image. I happen to really like snakes, serpents, things like that, and I think this is a very cool piece on so many different levels. It's got a lot of energy, and yeah, I don't know what else can you say. It's a cool snake.
No, and Buckingham is always sought after, so I mean, this is a really nice cover.
Thanks. And here we have the official Marvel Index to the Avengers #2. And this is page 1. It's a beautiful splash page by one of my favorite artists, Mark Teixeira. It's a pinup. It's just a knockout. I love the way Mark draws anatomy. I love the musculature and the way he brings forth the inner strength of characters through his ability to render anatomy. I mean, Cap just looks great here. Hercules too, look at his shoulders and biceps. And you got everybody. You got Wanda, you've got Hawkeye, you've got Goliath and Wasp, and this beautiful image of Cap leading the group. And this is from 1987. Mark signed it in 1990. It's a really beautiful image, truly.
No, I love that one.
Mark's one of my favorites. I have a few pieces in my collection by him. And here we have another great image. You got Iron Fist and Power Man, and it's by Ernie Chan, who, again, another artist I'm really fond of, and inks by none other than Hellboy creator Mike Mignola. I don't know, you got great images here. You got great creators. There's not a lot more to say about this. It's just pictures.
And issue 100.
What's that?
I said it's issue 100, right?
That is issue 100. Power Man and Iron Fist issue 100, also an anniversary issue. Now, here's another piece. The second I saw it, I remembered this piece. Very tough to get David Mazzucchelli artwork. His art is very rare, and this is a picture of death. And although they didn't really use it, the Avengers movies with Thanos, this is Thanos' inspiration for trying to kill half the universe, or 90% of it. It's a beautifully rendered piece, and David Mazzucchelli art is just not easy to find anywhere.
That's very true. Anything from Daredevil is really hard to get and really expensive.
Right.
That's a beautiful piece. Yeah.
Yeah. wanted to make sure we got through everything, and I think we're doing well on time. But this is another piece I wanted to talk about. So done by two legends, Carmen Infantino and Joe Giella. Now, I had the incredible fortune back in, it's got to be about 25 years ago, maybe a little longer, to get to meet Joe Giella. And he lives on Long Island, and he's still with us, thank God. And I actually took a couple of art lessons from Joe Giella. And I loved just sitting with him and hearing him talks about stories. And also, it was very cool. He was very old school in the way he did things. He had these large filing cabinets, and each cabinet was alphabetical order, and each cabinet was filled with folders, and they were reference pieces. So if he needed to do a picture of a car, he goes to his C filing cabinet, pulls out all of his images that he had cut out of different types of cars, pulls out one that he needs, and uses as a reference. Just brilliant way to work. I'm sure a lot of artists do it, and probably a lot easier nowadays because you have the internet, so you don't really have to cut things out of newspapers and magazines. But Joe's work is exceptional. He's one of the great Silver Age inkers, and here having him team up with one of the great Silver Age pencilers on this really fun DC Comics Presents Batman #1, 2004. This is page 4. You got Batman and Robin chilling out, watching some Bat TV. Every panel has the Cape Crusaders in it, and it's just a wonderful nostalgic piece that I'm really happy that we're going to get to auction.
Yeah, I had heard the same thing about Joe, that he had many filing cabinets of reference material like that. And I'm sure that was very common back in the day for guys that needed that. But very cool. So
I remember back when Madman was really popular. Mike Allred, one of the great modern creators, and I became very exposed to his artwork when Madman was out, and remember reading really fun stories. And here he is again on the Astonishing Ant-Man #1. This piece is from 2015, and it's a great image of Ant-Man surrounded by ants. It's basically what you want in an Ant-Man cover. It's great. It's fun. There's also always something I think a little bit whimsical in Allred's artwork. Something that kind of reminds me a little bit of Steve Rude and a few other artists. Kind of slightly taking you back to a kind of 1950s style of romance art almost. But I see a lot of different things in it, and I just think it's a great image. And this one's up for auction also. And by the way, everything that's up for auction is no reserve, all $1 start price, and wherever it lands is where it lands. So this is another great piece in the auction.
So all the lots in this auction have no reserve?
That is correct. All of the auction lots for art have no reserve. I believe for comic books as well. Here's another cool piece. Has his own TV show, Black Lightning. This is a really cool splash. You've got it's by Trevor Van Eden, Vince Colletta inks. It's from 1978. You got Black Lightning there, and I think it's pretty funny. I don't know if anybody saw Falcon and Winter Soldier, and some little kid runs up to Falcon and says, "Hey, it's Black Falcon." And he's like, "No, it's just Falcon. Do I come to you and say, hey, you're a black kid?" And the guy's like, "All right, you're right." And so Black Lightning, maybe one day he'll just be like, this is a really cool piece, very nostalgic as well. And we can't wait to see what this sells for. This is, you got One Man's Poison as the title for the story. It's very nostalgic and very, very, very cool piece. But one other thing I wanted to tell you about in terms of Black Lightning, the TV show, the guy who makes his suits, Gambo, is based after Paul Gambaccini, a really long time, an avid comic art and comic book collector, personal friend of mine, also a very big personality on BBC Radio. And it's pretty cool that you live forever being part of the DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Avengers, #28. Okay, another artist that's been overlooked for a long time, overshadowed by Kirby. but who's coming into his own lately. I remember a few years ago, this page like this would be about $2,000. I'm thinking this is going to be a really big piece in the auction. It's twice up, which is great. Plus, you have these beautiful images of Cap, Hawkeye, Goliath, Wanda, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. And so they appear in 3 of the panels, rather large panels. Beautiful inking job on this piece, and very, very cool, very memorable. And again, I see this as a piece that will exceed our expectations in the auction. I'm looking for big things on this piece, and I think whoever gets it in a few years, you're gonna go, I'm really glad I got that, because now it's worth even more money, and it's just a cool piece of art to have.
No, I agree. Don Heck's work is, especially on Avengers 2, has been seeing a really nice jump in prices the last 3 to 6 months. So yeah, I think you're going to do pretty well on that one, or this consigner will.
Yeah, and Bill, we talk a lot about this in perspective of the values, the money, but I think we can all agree that it's not just about the money. It's about appreciating the body of work of an artist and seeing what they've been able to do, and how their stories have really come to life and affected us as comic book fans, as readers, and also in terms of the greater Marvel universe and the cinematic universe, in comic books and animation, and all the different things that these things transcend into. I think it's really special. Let's go on to this piece. Ace Publishing, 1953. This piece is going for peanuts right now in the auction. Very overlooked. I don't even think it's broken $1,000 yet, which is nuts. This is an original cover to Baffling Mysteries 13, a horror cover. Got a mummy, you got this guy, got this girl, she's scared, he's looking on, like, oh my God, what's going on here? And under $1,000? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. This is worth a lot more. It's a beautiful piece. Jim McLaughlin, pencils and inks, and what more can I say? I mean, just look at it. Look at it, damn you. On this piece. What are you, nuts? Don't let this thing slip through the cracks.
Right, you don't get pulp covers too often on the market like that. That is really nice.
No, and we have even a complete story, 6-page story. Archie Comics 111, Bill Vigoda, Terry Senex inks, and we have a few other complete Archie stories in the auction as well. Don't miss out on these. This is really fun stuff. To me, Archie is as American as apple pie. We have a gorgeous copy of Archie Comics #1 and 8.0 in the auction as well, part of the Kentucky collection, which ends Wednesday through Friday. Monday is going to be the artwork, the pulps, the concert posters, the video games, the movie props, and I believe we're going to start on some of the comic books, and then the non-Kentucky collection ends on Tuesday. So you'll have Monday and Tuesday with the collectibles, artwork and collectibles, and then comic books. And again, an Archie story. I mean, geez, this is so cool. Let's take a look at this. Here you got Archie and Jughead. You got Betty and Veronica and Reggie. I mean, just look at this. It's beautiful. It's beautifully rendered. You got all the gags and stuff that we've come to love in Archie. I mean, I personally would never break this up, but maybe someday somebody says, yeah, I want to break it up and sell it in pages. But look at Veronica. She looks nuts. It's great.
Yeah, she does look a bit crazy.
This is getting rather sticky. It's just really fun stuff. Beautiful panels. Really funny. I love Archie. I think Archie's fantastic. And you see Archie now, they have TV shows, they have animation. You have so many different things being done with Archie. And I don't think that's going to stop. I think they're just starting to mine the Archieverse.
I agree. My kids are heavy into it. So yeah,
oh, cool. That's great to know. Yeah. Now we've got a bunch of really beautiful romance art in the auction, and here's an early art safe page. And there are more pages available from this story, both in the auction as well as up for fixed price selling. But this is a beautiful page, and I Lied with Kisses. This is just fantastic romance stuff. Got this great rendering of this girl with incredibly small waist. And
I didn't notice that until just now. Wow.
It's tiny. Everything else is normal. I'll never forget how I was treated here. No one will ever hurt me again. I'll get even with anyone who has anything to do with this dungeon, the county orphanage. It's just classic 1950s romance. Just really fun stuff. 1954. All right. Here's another romance piece. The rest of the story is in the auction as well. It's really important to note. This is Secret Romances number 13, Iger Studio. We don't know exactly who the artist is. Some people think that maybe this is Kamen, but I'm not sure. I can't prove that. And once again, a really awesome title. She Didn't Buy My Love. I found the right girl in the right time, only to discover that it looked like I was the wrong man, and might as well admit I didn't have a chance with her. It's just classic.
Yeah, that is.
Another fantastic piece that we have. This is San Julian, who has been going, his artwork's been going nuts. I've been trying to get a piece for years, and I keep getting outbid, and people keep getting to it first. This is a gorgeous 1998 San Julian painting from Heavy Metal magazine. This is just an awesome sci-fi cover. Look at all the colors that are used. Look at the characters. It really reminds me of the times. I loved heavy metal as a kid. I could not put down. You showed me a heavy metal magazine, and I was basically gone for hours. Just the artwork inside was captivating. It's also very different than what we were used to in American comic books. A lot of these artists were European, different perspective. This piece is fantastic. Just take a look at that, folks.
What's the size on that, Vincent?
This one has got to be, it's bigger. It's about the size of a twice up piece. So I'd say maybe a little bit bigger than 12 by 18, maybe even a little bit bigger than that.
Okay.
It's just gorgeous. I love it. I really do. I love especially how he really took a lot of time to get the detail in with the greens and the reds and the yellows here in the mask and the purple. He was really a master. Yeah. So this auction, again, very exciting for me. Every time we're building and building and building, and we are trying to bring not just big money pieces to auction, but interesting pieces that real collectors will enjoy and love and be passionate about and want to have in their collections. We're also, I should mention, as always, we're always taking on consignments. We're offering fantastic cash advances for comic art and all types of collectibles. And the great thing is you can take, you can buy a piece of art in our auction and consign something. We give you a cash advance to apply towards it. It makes life a lot easier, and you parlay and build up your collection that way. We're looking to see a really blockbuster auction. The comic book and artwork and collectibles market in general are on fire. It's not going to stop. I believe that this is a kind of a next level moment. Some people think, I think that this is just a bubble that's going to burst. But we've been saying that for decades. And even though there has been a bit of a quicker price escalation lately, I believe that's more in tune with the times. The world is, as much as it's slowed down because of COVID, it's also sped up in so many other ways. People are looking at places to park their money, and they're looking at tangible assets like comic book art, comic books, video games, pulps, concert posters, movie props, you name it. So they're looking all over the place to try to find places that they can say, hey, I see growth here. And if you compare comic art to what's going on in the sports card market, it's a steal. Comic art is a steal. Let's just think about this. I sold my first basketball card about a month ago. I sold a Michael Jordan rookie card, PSA 10, for $550,000. That same card a year ago could be purchased for $65,000. So a year, that went up so much, almost 10 times, right? So now you're telling me, I love Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player ever. It's not a rare card, and the price escalation was nuts. Now you're telling me that these covers here, this artwork, a Spider-Man cover from the 80s is one of one, from the 70s, one of one. all three of these from the 70s. X-Men 94 page. Are you kidding me? These things are steals. Even if each one of these sold for $50,000 a piece, you look back on it and go, boy, I wish I would have bought that because it's going to be worth more. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. I can't tell the future, but I'm going by 35 years of experience in the collectibles market and seeing what's going on right now. I don't see an end to it because people aren't going to one day just wake up and go, I don't really like comic art anymore. That doesn't happen. People who are into comic art stay into comic art. People who discover comic art become lifelong passionate fans like I am. I mean, I can't stop buying this stuff. I love it. And I don't just buy big pieces. There are times where I'll buy a piece for a couple $100 just because I think it's a great piece of art. So I am completely on board. And I think that we have a lot of growth. You have the, I mean, look what people are spending on digital art, NFTs. Now you might not.
Don't even get me started on that. I know.
Well, you know, in our generation, Bill, we may not appreciate it the same way some younger generation. But this is something that's not going away either. And when you see the people who have amassed large amounts of wealth in cryptocurrencies are now parlaying that into NFTs. And now that Marvel is in on it, Playboy is in on it, all the big corporations with tons and tons and tons of stuff to sell are going to be selling their own NFTs, one-of-ones and also limited editions. The sky's the limit on this market. I'm not as confident on NFTs in terms of the longevity of it, but what I see is there's a lot of younger money going into it. And when I talk to younger people, they get it in a second. They like NFTs. But my whole point is you can have an NFT that, again, to me feels like a contrived collectible, or you can have something like this. Now, there are going to be NFTs that are not what I would call contrived. Like I think what the NBA does with a sample video of a great shot or winning slam dunk or whatever. Those are the types of things I think that can become more and more valuable and collectible. What I'm talking about in terms of things I don't really believe in NFTs are kind of like there'll be no name artists who will become bigger. But right now, I think you got to be a little careful. Go for the sure thing. These are tangible assets. This is something that's really special. Comic art is here to stay. I hope you all will be bidding with us. If anybody needs to be approved to bid over $25,000, please contact us immediately. We are happy to oblige you. The auction's over Monday, April 12th in the evening. And then Tuesday through Friday are comic books. And we're looking for, like, as I said, we're buying, we're doing private sales, we're taking consignments. So we're thrilled. Please give us a call, ComicConnect.com, MetropolisComics.com. We're here for you.
I was just going to say, you want to make sure that to contact you through ComicConnect.com is the best way to go for those things. And I can't agree with you more. I've been saying that for the last 6 or 8 months, as far as the pricing on art being very undervalued. That when you look at what comics are selling for, and even if there are 100 action number ones and they're very rare, the prices that you're getting for those, I mean, the original art just hasn't really matured to the point as far as its pricing where it's gotten to that level, but it will. So I don't see it as a bubble at all either. I really think that there is this we haven't even come close to the ceiling. I mean, we're still down at the ground floor. And as people wise up to the value and the uniqueness of collecting original comic art, it's just going to continue to go higher and higher, which isn't great. For me as a collector, I don't like saying that, but I firmly believe that I will be priced out of certain markets, but that's okay, because it's basically acknowledging our hobby, as something that really is unique and beautiful. And, it's really why we collect art in the first place, is because we love it. And I think it's great that more people are coming into the hobby and seeing the value, of comic art as an asset and as something beautiful that they can have for a long time.
That's I couldn't agree with you more. And if we have a quick minute, I'd love to just give for people who didn't see our last interview, which if you didn't, it was a lot of fun. I think I might have talked a little too long, but I had so much fun. But I'd love to show you guys around my personal office for a minute, if we could do that, Bill.
Oh yeah, we've got about 5 more minutes before I have to go.
Cool.
And I would agree. I would agree, Vincent. If anybody hasn't watched the interview with you, it was. I think it's still probably one of our most viewed interviews that we ever did, and everybody loved the whole office tour. So
great.
We need to do it again sometime.
I'm happy to do it, and I'll try to rearrange the office so we have a lot of new stuff. But just to give you an idea, folks, these are some of the pieces that are really important to me in my collection. And Baby Yoda says hello as well. So Frank Miller on Wolverine. That's the opening splash page to Wolverine #1. This is a great action page. Can you see this well, Bill?
Yeah, it's a little small, but but trust me, we know the art, that's for sure.
And here you got Todd McFarlane on Amazing Spider-Man. This was my favorite page cover from his run. And Stephen Platt, one of my favorites from the 90s. I actually did a signed and numbered issue, 1,000 copies of Moon Knight number 56, and this is the cover of 57. One of my all-time favorite comic books, The Question. We recently auctioned off Denny O'Neil's bound volumes of his collection, and it was astounding. We sold the bound volume of The Question, Denny O'Neil's copies, for $5,000, which is unbelievable. It's my favorite, one of my favorite series. You have Sam Keith, who's really blowing up, John Byrne on X-Men, some more Platt, and here's a guy, Steve Ditko, on this is the first Electro page. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And you got Gwen Stacy, Amazing Spider-Man, number 31, 2 pages from that. One of my all-time favorites, you got Gil Kane here on Knight Rider. I love Knight Rider, Ghost Rider. You got the Beast, first furry Beast. Another cover, Marvel Double Feature number 9 by Gil Kane, Cap fighting Batroc. I think this is one of the Gil's best covers. I just love the dynamic pose he puts Cap in. It's pretty cool. Next to it, you have Amazing Adventures number 15, which is Jim Starlin's first published cover. And one of my favorite villains, the Griffin, and I love the Beast. Beast is one of my favorites as well. The other thing to really note that's important on the Amazing Adventures 11 cover, the first furry Beast, it's Gil Kane and another of my favorite artists, Bill Everett. And next to it is another cover that they did together, Submariner 48, which if we're not close enough to see it, but the subby is just so Bill Everett. It's gorgeous. And it's got that 3-dimensional effect that Gil put into play with Dr. Doom looking like he's coming off the cover. I got Gil Kane on Ghost Rider, on Power Man. And on the far wall here, you got Frazetta on Famous Funnies number 215, arguably one of his best comic book covers ever. Below it, Catman 25 cover, and that is the only existing Catman cover. I love that cover. We actually auctioned that a number of years ago in the John Burke collection, and I bought it from the winner of the auction. I was so thrilled to get it into my collection. And right behind this gorgeous piece, I don't know if you guys can see on the floor over there, is Exo Man of War number 1, which is pretty cool. And what I learned about this piece is it's attributed to Bob Layton, but Barry Windsor Smith actually did the layouts for it, and he basically didn't finish it. So Bob Layton did, and it's actually you get 2 artists in one. Weird Mysteries number 4, the Atomic Ant cover, as we call it, by Bernard Bailey, a fantastic piece. Beware, number, I think it's number 10 up there. Beware, and you got this shrunken head with it's by Goldfarb, shrunken head with his eyes sewn shut. Atomic Bomb Blast, a very quintessential 1950s cover, and it's kind of even has that romance feel to it. And then Matt Baker, a 7 Seas cover, just absolutely astounding. Really, really gorgeous piece. And in the corner here, you got Mike Zeck on Captain America. You got Gil Kane and Ernie Chan on Conan with Belit on the cover. You've got Supervillain Team Up number 6 cover with the first Shroud. Gorgeous drawings, renderings by Jim Starlin, but with a lot of, I think, touch-ups by Romita. You got Dr. Doom. You've got the Mr. Fantastic Subby, Human Torch, and The Thing, and, of course, Shroud. So a lot of really fun and cool pieces. And for those of you Bruce Lee fans, this is one of my favorite pieces of my collection. This is Bruce Lee's only signed movie contract from 1971. It's a 3-picture deal with Golden Harvest. And it's I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan. It's one of my favorite most prized possessions. This is a Mark Ryden print. I love Mark Ryden's work. And the piece up there is a piece I commissioned by an artist named Michelle Meixel. I think it's crazy and fun. Got another Sam Keith piece over here. Actually, my first piece of artwork I ever bought, Marshall Rogers Batman, just a commission piece that I bought at 1994 Chicago Comic-Con. And then one of the rarest comic books, modern day Spider-Man variant covers by Gabriele Dell'Otto. I believe that's Spider-Man, is it 577, 677? I can't remember the issue number, but really beautiful, him on the Eiffel Tower. And then a really cool piece by Joe Bennett with about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Spideys and a little bit of his feet. Just tons of cool stuff over here. Mark Texiera on the far wall, Black Panther #1 cover, Ghost Rider cover, Space Punisher cover, Frazetta watercolor, Bob Larkin on this Fireside book, Amazing Spider-Man. Here's the actual book, and this is really nostalgic for me from 1978, and I'm so thrilled to have the painting. This was a book that my mom bought me, and this was like my first time reading old Spider-Man comic books from the 60s and 70s, and just very nostalgic for me. So a real thrill, and always really fun for me to be able to share my collection with everybody out there, because right now we don't get to see one another that often, and hopefully things will be changing soon. I got vaccinated. Everybody out there should get vaccinated, and let's get back to meeting up at conventions and having people come by the Metropolis Gallery here in New York City.
Yeah, hopefully soon. I didn't even get to ask you about that, but I assume the Murphy show went really well, and you'll be planning another one soon.
Yeah, and I can't thank you enough for covering that. I'd love you to cover the next one. We're actually going to be doing an art gallery show with a friend of mine, Jonas Rader. He's an abstract painter. He's really starting to blow up. We did a show with him 5 years ago. It's not comic book art, but if you're looking for something really cool, different, and decorative for your home, this is going to be a really cool show. We're going to be doing that in June. We also have another big show coming up with Simone Bianchi, which I'm thrilled to be working with again. He's one of my all-time favorite painters in the hobby, and we'll cover that with you, Bill, as well.
Great. That's going to be in the fall, I imagine?
I think so. And we're working on a couple of other big things right now.
Okay.
With some other artists, and as things come together, we'll keep you abreast of the situation. But
That's great.
For me, this is just so much fun. If you ever told me I was going to get to do this when I was a kid, I think my head would have just exploded. I never dreamed that I'd be buying and selling comic books and artwork and all types of collectibles and involved in the marketplace. And it's really a pleasure for me. And I thank all of you out there who helped to make this possible for me, because I know without you guys buying and selling and being passionate about it like I am, we don't have a marketplace. So thank you very much.
Very true. All right, Vincent, thank you so much. Best of luck on the auction that ends next Monday. Anybody have any questions, just feel free to email ComicConnect through their website, ComicConnect.com. And have a great evening, Vincent. And I'll be on another show in about 4 minutes. So I'll see everybody.
Yeah. Tell my buddy Jeff Singh I said hello.
I will do that, Vincent. Good night, everybody.
Thanks so much, Bill.
You're welcome.